have surmised, this ship has begun to sink.
Oh.
On April 14th, 1912, the famous ocean liner Titanic crashed into an iceberg.
Okay.
After remaining afloat for 2 hours and 40 minutes, it sank beneath the waters of the North Atlantic.
There we go.
I will give you more time. 9 hours.
9 hours.
That is the time you will be given to make your escape.
The voice finished, and the speaker went silent. The sound of a bell tolling echoed through the hall. Hang on, there's another thing I need to discover. Let's see. 5 has to be the number, so who are we going with to get through what door? Nope. Or will they do this part for me? I might have to wait for them to do it for me. The voice finished and the speaker went silent. Oh wait, I already read that. The sound of a bell tolling echoed throughout the hall. It came from the dance hall adjacent to the stairwell. It took those assembled on the stairs mere moments to trace the sound to an antique clock embedded on the wall. 7, 8, 9. The sound of the 9th bell faded away. The 10th never came. Sorry. Okay, that's 6. Well, that makes it slightly easier. To equal 5, they would need 7, 8, 6. Nope. 7, 8, 9 was 6. And 7, 8, 6 was 3. So 9, 8, 6. Yep, that's 5. Okay, so now we just need to equal 4. Well, let's see. If 9, 8, 5 go into door number 5, then to get through door number 4, we would need... Damn it. No, that's 6. Okay, so we have to find another way to equal that. Never mind. That meant the time was 9 o'clock. Most likely 9 o'clock in the evening. When Junpei had peered out the window of the cell, he had seen nothing but blackness. It had to be nighttime. If that was the case, then they would need to escape by 6 a.m. the following day.
Now it is time.
Wow. Waited for the 9th hour for everything.
Let our game begin. I wish you all the best of luck.
The speaker went silent and did not speak again. Silver yelled at the speaker with languages coarse enough to embarrass a sailor, but the rest of Junpei's companions were silent, deep in thought. Junpei too was consumed by his thoughts. There was a great deal he didn't understand. Who was Zero? What was the nonary game? Why had he been chosen to make them part of it? Was he a criminal who took delight in playing with his victims? Or did he have some other purpose? Probably the first. And why had Junpei been chosen as part of this insane game? Why had any of them been chosen? But one question was foremost in his mind. Akane. They hadn't seen one another since elementary school. Why had she appeared now? Coincidence? No, that seemed impossible. There had to be a reason. He didn't know what it might be, but there had to be a reason. Very well. I'm sorry, he shouted. Very well! The lion's voice seemed oddly loud in the silence. Standing around here won't do us any good. Best we get moving, don't you think? Get moving? Are you planning to open the numbered... I'm sorry, that's her. Are you planning to open the numbered doors? Hey, wait! Don't tell me you're actually going to do what this zero says. Well, yeah, if you don't, you get to drown. Those are your options. No, that's not what I mean. The lion shook his head, mildly annoyed. I'm saying let's find another way. After all, we haven't really examined this place yet. What? Alright, waste your time looking around. You got 9 hours. Their separate investigations had finished. All 9 people returned to where they left one another. The result of all their work was nothing, except wasting a lot of time like idiots. They were completely sealed in. Their hard work had not gone completely to waste, however. They had learned a number of things as they scoured parts of the ship they could reach. It seemed they were confined to decks A through C. C deck was as far down as they would be able to go. However, the reason being that D deck was completely submerged. Strangely, however, the water had risen no higher than D deck. How does that work? The flow seemed to have been stopped somehow, as evidenced by the surface of the water on D deck, which was as smooth as glass. The prince knelt down gently and drew his hand across it. Perhaps this Zero fellow has used some sort of remote control seal to seal a watertight door lower down. He said that our time limit here was 9 hours. I added the here. My mistake. In other words, this water won't rise for another 9 hours. Then you're saying we won't sink till then? Well, that may be a little too optimistic. Point to wishful thinking. No point to wishful thinking. There were 3 metal doors on C deck. A single door stood off to the side, with 2 more on the wall facing the central staircase. None of them had numbers or verification devices. They were, however, locked like the other doors. No matter how much they pushed and shoved, the doors refused to move. The mountain and the lion threw themselves against them a few times, but to no avail. The door on the back had a keyhole. Just above it was a strange mark in the shape of a circle surrounding a dot. There were 2 other doors on C deck as well, but it was clear they were elevators, and each had a button next to it with an upside-down triangle. They tried pushing the button. No response. Apparently, there was no power running to the elevators. To the left of the door of the elevator doors was a card reader. The card reader also had a strange mark on it. It looked like a lowercase h with a dash drawn across the upper stem of the H. Junpei stared at it for a while. It does look strange. I mean, maybe we could get into the elevators, but I doubt that's relevant at the moment. This is a symbol of Saturn. It's an astrological symbol. Then, the mark on the other door? I think that was the sun symbol. They had seen the same symbols on deck A. There was a door on either side of the stairs. One on the left had a keyhole with a similar symbol engraved on it. This is an Earth symbol. The horizontal line symbolizes the equator and the vertical one represents the prime meridian. Junpei looked at the ceiling. There was a great circle cut in Well, I'm sure they go somewhere. We just can't open them. Then the mountain spoke.
You don't know that. For all we know, they just open into walls, or take us in circles.
The prince did not agree. I'm sure they go somewhere. Otherwise, what point would there be? And we can't open them. Well, 2 of them at least. You mean the numbered doors? All eyes turned to the doors with numbers on them. The atmosphere of the room grew tense. Hey, wait a minute. I think I said this earlier, but I don't think we should do that. The dancer moved in front of the doors as if to block them. We'd have to be crazy to open these doors. Or desperate. You know, like you are. With, well, I don't know how many hours passed. I mean, we gotta look at the clock, but I would have to spend some time looking at it to be 100% certain on how many hours passed. You're kind of wasting time. If we do that, we're doing exactly what Zero wants us to do. Again, how many options do you have aside from this one, really? Suddenly, everyone began to speak at once. I agree. I don't. That's a terrible idea. We should keep going. We should stay here. We don't have any other way to open these doors. We should just wait. Someone's bound to come for us. You have 9 hours. We don't have time for that! In 8.5 hours, the ship is going to sink! Oh, so it took half an hour to... The clamor of the voices made it next to impossible to determine who was saying what. Their arguments grew more and more intense until people were shouting and screaming at one another. Junpei had remained silent, but at last he could take it no more. Hey! Shut up! They fell silent, and all eyes turned to Junpei. He felt each stare burning into him, but he refused to flinch. Before we try and decide what we're going to do, there's something else we ought to do. What's that? We need to exchange information. We don't know anything about each other. I want to know who you guys are. Who you are, where you came from, why you ended up here. Don't tell me you aren't curious, too. They were silent. Some of them looked the other way, or bit their lip, or crossed their arms and stared up at the ceiling. But one of them spoke up. It was Akane. I agree. I think Jumpy is right.
Jumpy?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about him. I just call him Jumpy. His name is Junpei. She pointed towards Junpei. We're childhood friends. We went to the same elementary school.
Wait, stop! Don't tell us stuff we didn't ask you about. He was probably watching us right now. What are you gonna do if he's listening in?
Of course he's listening in. Would that be bad?
Hell yeah, it would. You don't know how much that bastard knows about us. Maybe he just picked a bunch of random people to kidnap. If that is the case, then it'd be dangerous for us to let him know too much. If Zero knows who we are, he could go after our families. Maybe he'd tell us he'd had him to get us to do stuff, you know?
But we still need to know what our names are. It's going to be hard to talk to each other if we don't have names.
Alright then. Why don't we have code names?
To him, apparently, it seemed like the obvious solution. Code names?
Yeah, we'll each pick something. Like, I'll be 7.
7? Why are you 7? It seemed to be a fair question. Mountain stuck out his left arm.
'Cause his bracelet says 7.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, that's a good idea. He smirked. Alright, I'm gonna be Santa. Santa! You don't look like a Santa. Any of you chumps know about no Japanese? No? Well, San means 3, so I'll be Santa. Oh. I thought you were gonna deliver gifts. You know, like Santa Claus. Fits, don't you think? Then your bracelet number? Yeah, it's got a 3 on it. Good job, Grandpa! Just like the mountain had, Silver thrust out his left hand. Sure enough, the face on his bracelet read 3. Very well, then. I'll go next, shall I? My bracelet number is 1. Given that, I think Ace seems appropriate. I'll be Lotus, then. As I'm sure you all know, it has 8 petals. Which means, of course, that my bracelet number is 8. I'd appreciate it if you'd call me Snake. My bracelet number is 2. Since Ace has chosen cards, then I choose dice. Snake Eyes, clearly, which particularly relevant given that I'm blind. Oh, that's actually kind of funny. Blind? Really? He kept his eyes closed during their entire ordeal, which had suggested something strange, but to hear it said so casually, it was something of a surprise. Everyone seemed a little nervous at the prince's proclamation, but no one seemed to know how to react to it. There was one person, however, who didn't seem to be surprised at the least. The girl with the pink hair. I want to be Clover. You know, like 4-leaf clover? Good luck, right? Yeah, sure, why not? Looking almost bored, she held out her left hand. The face of her bracelet showed the number 4. They'd come around to Junpei. He held out his bracelet. Alright, my number's 5, so my codename's gonna be... Well, I have one. It's not like there's any point to it now. The dancer cut him off in mid-sentence. I mean, we all know your name already. You're Junpei. Oh. They all nodded. Akane stepped forward nervously. And you should call me by my name, too. Because, I mean, it doesn't seem...
It doesn't seem fair to Jumpy?
You're thinking it's not cool for you to hide your name because you told us his? Akane fidgeted awkwardly. Junpei decided he had to do something. What's your bracelet number? It's 6. She hesitated for a moment, then held out her left hand. As she claimed, the bracelet showed a 6. Junpei looked at it for a moment, and then thought, Alright then, why don't we call you June? 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 Yeah, you know, is the 6th month of the year. So you're June. Jumpy. Akane kneaded her hands and looked up at Junpei uncertain. He smiled back at her reassuringly. Are you good with that? She thought about it for a few more minutes, then seemed to come to a decision and gave Junpei a small nod. Their names decided, Junpei ran over them quickly in his head. 1 was Ace. 2 was Snake. 3 was Santa. Ho ho ho. 4 was Clover. 5 was Junpei's number. Akane was 6, and Junpei had given her the codename June. 7 was 7, easy to remember at least. And 8 was Lotus. You know, just a thought, 7 could have named himself Lucky because of the lucky number 7, or whatever. I'd probably go with Cinco if I had a 5 bracelet. Just throwing that out there. That meant that 8 of them, including Junpei, had revealed their bracelet numbers. There was still one person left. He was the man with glasses and hair like a bird's nest. He hadn't said anything since they had met on the stairs, and he didn't look like the sort of person who was inclined to conversation. Well, I guess he's 9. His skin was pale, his breathing was heavy, and he soaked with nervous sweat. His behavior seemed very suspicious, or perhaps simply emotionally unstable. It was difficult to tell. Whatever the case, it seemed clear that he had only a fingertip's worth of a grip on his sanity. The girl with the pink hair, Clover, walked up to him slowly. She put her hands on her hips and eyed him suspiciously. What number are you? He didn't answer. His bloodshot eyes twitched from person to person, and his breath came in hot pants. Hey, I'm talking to you! The man licked his dry lips with a shaking tongue and spoke with a voice like old paper. Isn't it obvious? There are 9 people here, And you know who numbers 1 through 8 are. I'm the only one left. So you're 9? Yeah. He extended a trembling arm. The bracelet did indeed say 9. Clover looked at it contemptuously. What's your code name? Code name? What do you want us to call you? You all made up names. You should too. I don't need one. Why not? Because I'm not going to stay here with you. He took a shuddering breath and exhaled. We all need to be present if we're going to get through door 9. He took a shuddered breath and exhaled. Clover looked at him with something very like disgust. You've got some sort of plan? I do. Yeah, what's that? You sure you want to know? Yeah. Alright. Let me show you. I'm going to do this! Ah! By the time they realized what he was doing, it was too late to stop him. The man's body moved like a snake's. In the blink of an eye, he had slid around behind her and wrapped his arm around her waist. Hey, what the heck do you think you're doing? Silver. Santa leapt forward toward Clover and the 9th man. He was halfway there when... Stay back! Suddenly, the man's hand drove into his pocket. It came back out with a knife. A pocket knife. He held it to Clover's pale, quivering neck. I think we're going to end this episode here on a cliffhanger because it's 41 minutes long. Well, 42 now. See you guys in the next episode.
Well, this is an interesting turn of events. I wonder what number 9's plan is. I hope he remembers the rules. We need 3 to 5 people to open a door. One just simply won't cut it.